This is part 6 already.
Welcome to the Dresden Files podcast, part 6 already of the Cold Days.
And last part.
It needs to be titled that. Part 6 already. Like
it needs to die.
Already, like we haven't spent 3 months talking about this one book.
It needs to die like
because
the
we
Queens
need content.
of Fairy. There you go. There's the lead-in.
We should start getting some of Jacob's favorite people on. We should start talking to people about time traveling Murphys, and I say equal rights, right? We've got to have equal airtime for everybody's crazy ass theories. No, I'm sorry, I can't.
I disagree. Wholeheartedly. We are not the news that likes to perpetuate these false equivalence narratives. Some people are just stupid.
We got to somehow platform this up, right? Are we we'll come up with something. I don't know.
Oh, good.
So.
First off, we have news. What is the news there, Jacob?
The news is that in 2 weeks we're going to have news.
Yeah.
How exciting!
The news was a general announcement that there will be an announcement in a couple of weeks.
Stop preparing. Just play the movie already. Like,
I mean, I hope
what is all this preparing?
I hope you have your bottled water ready because you're in the wait.
Sorry, it hit me in the moment. I was like, yeah, our news is he's got news.
Yep, eventually maybe.
And
we've all decided it's really just going to be to tell us that he decided to stop fostering the cat and he's adopting it.
Probably.
That's going to be the news.
And I mean, this cat, is it named after one of the awesome cats that he's created, or like would he change the name if he officially adopted it?
Well, the cat's name is Fenris. I assume
that's pretty cool.
He came up with that. So
Fenris was my dog's name. I like this cat already.
He's probably one of those authors where he's like, I can't reuse one of my character names as like my animal name because then I'll conflate the two more, and then I'll never be able to kill off the one because it's like, no, not mouse. Oh wait, I'm sorry. So, spoilers. Wow, that was harsh. No.
Yeah, seriously, got some judgment there.
Or is one of you guys playing Diablo on the side? Seriously.
No, Diablo 4's not out yet.
Yeah. Yeah, but 3's still there. Anyway, so no. I keep coming back to this because I don't remember if we talked about it, but he's supposedly totally like done with his rewrites and stuff and sent it to the publisher too. So like I think that's all we've got as far
you're not getting a rush for Christmas though, people. So I don't think.
Yeah, not in a month.
Yes. But when is Mirror coming out?
Yeah. When's Heel Turn coming out is the real question.
What about Cinder Spires Part 2?
Who cares?
Part 2.
Yeah.
This is not a Cinder Spires podcast.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Like, while that's also going to come out, the point is to come out with like, when is the BAT going to come out? Because, we need 11 more books from now. So
I kind of just want it to come out before I die at this point. Before he dies. I want to just come out.
You should maybe move to another state then.
Yeah, I was like...
where there aren't wildfires and earthquakes and...
Right. Like, even on the acts of God scale, you're pretty high up there on the risk. So, yeah, where Wyoming's fairly safe.
North Dakota,
other than
there's
Yellowstone. Yeah, other than
Montana.
Yellowstone. But
lots of open space.
Florida is seismically stable, but the hurricane thing, so, But.
Yeah, hurricanes are annoying.
Yeah, but hurricanes are a crapshoot anyway.
Okay, so I'm trying to
you
find
want
it.
to be professional and work now?
Why? Why would we do that?
We're getting paid by the hour.
I'm trying to find it, but wasn't there a post on Facebook about the TV show or something?
I think it's the same thing that he posted last year, right? Is that it's been official?
Yeah.
For a year.
Are you talking about
maybe you'll get a TV show.
The subreddit post about the TV show that was like a year old?
Yeah. No, I just thought there was a post on Facebook that on his birthday, they was like, there is definitely one coming.
Yeah, which is exactly what he posted a year ago.
Yeah, okay. That was an old one. So, because people who read the subreddit don't.
The surprise, it's going to be a re-release of the old show. It's coming though.
Remastered.
Yes.
You can really see the scales on...
it's been dubbed over.
Yeah.
Remasters? Like, if they're not done right...
Cold Days. Woo!
Okay.
What about it?
Chapter 46.
Okay.
We're at the end.
Was this before or after we got naked and covered in mud and then we like...
Before. They're heading up the hill.
Naked and covered in mud.
Yeah. We got that wrong. Because we talked about how Harry didn't need to.
Right. But he was able to go through, but he lost all his clothes because...
But he did specifically take off the duster before that.
as
Right.
one does.
Right.
Everyone else
Because it's like you just got that.
did the mother
Yeah.
thing.
So
Right.
they're going up the hill, and he's feeling suspicious about Mac and Sarissa, and so he makes Mouse do the rear guard,
Right.
and they come across the barrier of light and prettiness,
Mm-hmm.
and they stare at that for a minute.
He's
Magic circle.
Yeah,
It looked pretty like starlight.
and
Right.
then he has this like light bulb moment of it has to be pretty to counter the ugly inside, and they would make Charity talk in her church voice and things like that.
I see. So he gets inside, but he's naked and
Yes.
pretty much weaponless. And then he gets confronted by Fix, which is like honestly some pretty badass stuff in general, anyway, right? So because first of all, this is one of the first and only times we see Fix be like actual Summer Knight, even though he kind of fought the fetches, right? But he was just like a pylon at that point in Proven Guilty. But like this is him versus the Winter Knight, which is the only time we've seen that.
Which is the better fight, this one or the one in the deeps, the duel?
The duel is so much better because Ramirez is there. So, like, I love me some Dresden and Fix, and the banter and the fact that like despite the fact that they're literally fire and water, okay, that Fix can settle down and have a conversation and be like, I mean, come on. We've already started quoting Princess Bride. Maybe that's my headspace, but it's like, you seem a decent fellow. I hate to kill you. It's like,
You
this
seem a
is a
decent
very
fellow. I hate to
honorable,
die.
right? This is a very honorable fight as far as Dresden goes.
Well, until the end.
Yeah.
Sure.
What about? I forgot about.
I mean, it's neither one is as good a fight as Listens to Win and Shag Nasty either way, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah,
really?
That is a cool fight.
I love me that fight, but Ramirez.
I guess we're kind of talking duels here, not so much like fight. There's a little the duel and changes.
Well, that's one of the only times you actually just get to see him wipe the floor with someone.
Exactly.
There's no back and forth. There's no pulling it out of his ass. He's just straight up like, no.
I'm just better than you.
Right. It's fun, and you get to see him be smart, which are my preferred battles of his. But it's also blink and you miss it, by comparison. So, whereas like this one, you get to see him be clever, and you actually get to see him open up the throttle on the Winter side and be like, hey, if I keep being hairy about this, Fix is going to kick my ass because I'm fucking naked. But this is what the Winter Mantle does. Maybe I should just let it do its thing.
Sort of. Well, he's also realizing that Fix is being kind of told what to do by the Summer Mantle, and if he goes by the Winter Mantle, all they're going to do is get a stalemate. So he has to go counter to what Fix is expecting via his mantle.
But he kind of switches that up in the middle, right? Because he still starts out by like, that's where he gets the ice claws, and the like cold doesn't seem to bother him.
After he and Fix team up
and he
go after
jumps
Maeve.
15 feet or something.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
So
which that's fun.
He gets into the circle, and he sees the like pyramids going after Demonreach because fairy magic and trying to destroy Demonreach, and Alfred's standing.
Albert.
I have done that too many times.
You have Prince Alfred in a can.
Better let him out, or not in Demonreach. Don't let him out of the can. So, anyway, sorry.
So the ladies and their coteries are standing there trying to dismantle Demonreach, and Fix is going to fight him. And because Harry is so much at a disadvantage, he has to be clever, which is really cool.
Right.
Yeah. And it's interesting to think of Fix, especially when Harry kind of unstabilizes him a little. Lily can't handle her mantle as much as Fix has clearly been able to handle his.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Fix seems like he's pretty. Like they're pretty. It's together. Like there's nothing. It doesn't even struggle.
Well, it's been what 10 books since Summer Knight, right? So he's been the Summer Knight roughly 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
His natural impulses might align with the mantle as well. Like I don't know.
Well, because I was talking to this with one of my family members who's visiting right now, and she's become a fan, and talking about the headspace and whatnot, and like the classic conversation we go back to, which is like, how long is Molly going to be Molly, and how long's Fix going to be Fix, and Lily, and whatever. And it's like, Lily is your litmus test, right? Molly's got at least that long before she starts to become the Winter Lady or whatever. But honestly, there's a lot to be said, and I feel like I've brought this up before as well, but it's like Ship of Theseus. You've got probably about 7 years before you are a different person by some philosophical and other standards, right? So after 7 years, enough of you's been replaced and whatever. We've talked about it, maybe it's generational or whatever, but certainly 10 years is a long time to be doing the work he's doing. Does he have Dresden's style of up and down time where he only has one big fight a year and this is his one bad day this year? Or because he's the Winter Knight, like he's fucking all the time fighting
Summer Knight.
Yeah, sorry, thank you. He's all the time fighting winter forces and whatever, so he's been at this a while, but because he and Dresden have kept in touch, they're still friendly.
And he's also, let's face it, he's immortal, because we see this pushing on Harry's side and how intense it is, but on a sliding scale, the knights are always going to have, even taking the mother's conversation into consideration, they're always going to have an easier time as compared to the ladies, the queens.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, as demonstrated by Harry, they still have free will.
Right. So they're always going to have it a little bit easier than someone on Molly and now Sarissa's level, on Maeve and Titania. Sure. Even if you see them easily giving into it, but these are also, most of the knights throughout the course of history don't have the same kind of discipline that Harry has. I mean, he was already a wizard first.
Right, and that was the thing I was going to bring up as well, is like Harry also has external experience, whereas Fix was a nobody, he was a mouse, he was scared, and then he got power. Whereas like Harry knows what power is and what it does to people because he had it already, and he had it from a different source. And so Fix may be crutching on the mantle a little harder than Harry does because Harry's actually resisting it, for example. Whereas Fixes be like, dude, I've never been sexier. I've never been more buff. I've never been able to kick an ogre's ass before, or a troll in this case. And so, there's some differences there. And I think that's part of where Fix gets duped, right? Is like the director said, Harry's like, wait a minute, if I just go winter on summer, it's going to be a stalemate because that's literally the point. But this is why Maeve wants Harry, in my opinion, is that Harry is able to think outside the box. He's able to subvert some of those things, and he's able to at least put enough spin on it to break the stalemate,
And he does remember of the tools that he has, even if he's naked, is all the skill that he has, control, and the intellectus, which he uses against Fix very easily.
Right.
When he goes
but not just that
into attacking him, he's able to know exactly when and how and where he's going to land, and then use the nail that he found in the ground.
Right. Yeah, so like the intellectus definitely gives him a huge edge, right? That can't be discounted, but like a big part of it is plan too, is to push Fix off balance by feeding into his perceptions. Fix thinks Harry is, being pushed towards the dark side. Fix thinks that Harry is given over to the Winter Mantle and whatever, and so Harry feeds into that. And in a way, it's a verbal Aikido. He uses his enemy's momentum against him. And he basically says, Fix has got all these preconceptions about how this is going to go. I'm going to play Dirty Harry for a second and be like, yeah, let's play on some of those preconceptions a little bit. And I'm a total dick and a monster for doing it, but I got to win so I can stop them.
And he plays into his emotional state, which is probably heightened by the Summer Mantle.
And exactly, he's so, as you say, so dependent on the Summer Mantle. There's that much there too. So he's playing not just on Fix, but the Summer Knight that he's becoming.
Right. So anyway, Harry finds a nail, goads Fix, uses the nail basically to disable him. And then it's great because the way that I remember is Fix is pretty much like, oh, you clever motherfucker, like you totally pulled that over on me. And then they actually have a conversation, right? Because
after Lily loses her shit, because he says night takes
night,
and Lily is worried about him, and Maeve starts doing her glamour of twisting whatever Harry's saying into driving Lily more into the righteous, can't see straight rage, and she burns the hilltop. And the only thing that isn't burned is Harry, because he was putting up a shield, and Fix, who was right behind him.
Right. And then Fix actually does, like, he does vouch for Harry a little bit here too, right? Where
because
it's like
she goes after him more, and she does her little star thing, which is like the better version of Harry's little sun thing that he did to Molly.
right.
And there's no way he'd be able to survive that, but he'd taken the nail out of Fix to use it against Lily if he could.
Right.
And so then Fix is awake and listening to everything. And when she's about to murder him, he stops Lily, tells her to think about what is actually happening and who is protecting him when she was afraid that Fix was hurt.
Right.
Lily would have killed Fix if Harry hadn't stepped in.
Which would just be crazy in its own right too. So
Yeah.
But yeah.
I had
And
an observation real quick before we get too much further.
Uh-huh.
The ritual that they're doing, it's Lily and Maeve, and each of them has 9 people behind them. That's a 20-person ritual. Have you seen anything that big before? Or maybe fairy magic plays by different rules? Because I thought that 13 was kind of the threshold
13.
for the series. 13
for a magic circle.
Yeah.
Whatever
for
they
Magic
Well,
Circle.
was not.
No, because
Sure, it's still ritual.
he literally brings this up even in Stormfront. He's like, maybe I could rip the hearts out of people's bodies from across the town if I had 13 people. Well, why 13? Because that's literally the max. It's brought up there, and he brings it up again, I think, in Blood Rites, because he's like, oh my God, it's like there's so much power in this ritual. But there are ways to have patrons and other things that kind of bend the
I don't
rules,
think this is a ritual in the same way. I think so. They used the architecture that's already built into Demonreach to erect the circle, which is its own ward and failsafe to keep everything contained. And then from there, they're just blasting at Demonreach.
I get the impression that they're basically just brute forcing it, like straight up.
Right. And it may, so like to provide a little bit of leverage for a theory, right? It may not be that they're all directly feeding their energy into Lily and Maeve. It may be that, the guys in the back are healing and buffing the guys in front of them, and then the first tier behind them are like feeding their power in or something like that. So there's ways to spin it, but ultimately it's what's happening. And they're literally just like blasting with, Demonreach with raw magic as near as we can tell, until he eventually folds.
The fact that both Lily and Maeve are able to leave it at any time, just leaving the other person to try to take it up, that's not a ritual, because rituals you can't break like that.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
I was just hoping that maybe this would be a nice little plot hook to kind of cheat the system a bit. Maybe it's not 13. Maybe there are ways around that, but it comes with its own dangers.
Well, it could also
it
just
seems like
apply to
something.
mortal magic.
Right.
That's true too.
I mean, because there's 13 members of there are 13 total members, as we're going to find out, of the Grey Council. Now, we know at least one of them is not a mortal, per se. Well, he's sort of mortal.
Right.
But
well, and if we're talking about the 20, are they the same ritual or are they parallel rituals? So that'd be another way around the logic where, you've got 10 on one side, 10 on the other. They're just, one is doing their ice version and one's doing their fire version or whatever. So.
although, to be fair, Maeve does go on to say pretty soon after this that she can't do this by herself. So she does need Lily there, even if she can step away for a moment. She can't hold the assault by herself.
Yeah, neither one of them can, but they can all step away, and it doesn't fall apart, and then jump back in.
Combined.
Well, and do other
They're
things. I mean,
Captain
Maeve is shooting a glamour while she's doing this, and I mean, try and get Harry while he's using Little Chicago to also throw a fireball at someone. It's not going to work for him.
All right. Are we ready? Are we ready for the twist? Twist?
It's not really.
Twist. So
What do you mean?
Lily gets stopped from murdering Harry, and she goes back to blasting a Demonreach. And then Fix and Harry talk about everything that's been going on. And Harry starts to explain things.
Or does he sum up? Sorry.
Whatever. Same effect. So
he's using logic. Go figure.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like if there was ever a time that Maeve just said, I can't be lying because I have to be telling the truth, so this is what it is, and if that was wrong, how bad would this be right now? And Fix just goes, oh fuck.
Right, motherfucker. Yeah.
Then I think Harry says some more things, and Fix goes, "Fuck!" again. Just
Right.
gets worse and worse.
Right.
Yep.
And I mean, doesn't he pretty much say like, we'll go after Maeve, but you're not to touch Lily or some nonsense because it's Fix. Maybe I'm filling that in, but like they just kind of focus in on Maeve because it's like he's not going to go against his lady still. But,
Yeah, I mean, and Maeve is the bad guy, as Harry actually explained that the adversary had gotten into the Lananshi, and then he says it slipped into the water supply or something like that to get into Maeve, and that's when she couldn't be trusted. It was Maeve's idea to get to Demonreach, and they needed to stop Maeve because she was the actual problem. Lily and everyone else has just been duped.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And Harry also, as trying to get Fix to trust him, says, "My daughter's in town. She's gonna die."
Right.
Yeah, it's a huge thing to reveal to someone who could easily use that against him.
Right. Which Harry's like, well, this is dumb, but it's a gambit, so let's do it.
Well, when it comes to secrets, I mean, let's face it, he tells a lot of people end up knowing this by the time we're done with this series now.
Right.
Yeah.
But it also it kind of belies a fair bit of trust in Fix, and just kind of furthers that relationship, too. So.
Yep.
So.
And then this is the part where Harry takes the nail and he puts it in his teeth because he's going to use the winter mantle because he's all out of gas to do the ice claws and stuff.
Gotcha.
And that's when he gets full winter for a few minutes.
Right.
And Harry's going to take Maeve, and Fix needs to go against everyone else.
Gotcha.
Because that's equal.
Well, yeah, it's been so long since I fought just one person versus 12, so it just keeps rolling, man. The references just never stop. So.
And so I think it was just they were kind of running around Maeve until Harry tried to pounce. Maeve knew just a little bit before, and Harry got like held up by some guys, and Maeve was trying to convince Harry to go full winter even more.
Right.
Which,
probably because she knew she could manipulate the mantle at that point, So.
Maybe, but maybe she was hoping to infect him with a certain amount of intimacy, or maybe just have fun killing him, as we could possibly see with Cold Case.
Well, I mean, she is.
Well, either way, he'd be given into his base drive, so he'd become animalistic right then and there, and she could tables on him.
She could do the praying mantis thing,
Either way works. I'm sure she would have happily had sex with him right then and there while they were.
Right.
Or attempted to.
Yes.
I mean,
until or unless we find out the night is the loophole because all those shippers want it to be so.
You can just hear how happy he is to hear that.
Right. He's like, E.G. hates that he even said those words. That's how.
Listen, once upon a time I purported the idea that the knight and the lady could be intimate together before Cold Case came out. So I'm not 100% opposed to the idea of the knight being the loophole. I don't really care because I don't care about shipping. The only ship I hate is Murphy because I hate Murphy. That has nothing to do with the ship.
Right. Sorry, that ship's unsinkable. So now that I've declared it, it's totally going down. But
I still think it's better than Molly.
Oh yeah, leaks.
I don't need him to be with anyone. It doesn't bother me at all.
Honestly,
he should hook up with someone totally out of left field, like Vince Graver or something. Throw everybody off.
Wow, yeah, that would definitely. I would not see that coming. So
right, your expectations would be subverted.
Yeah, it's true. I'm trying to think. I mean, no, I think one of the greater subversions is if it was going to be like Alicia the next in line, because again, over 200 years, like she's going to grow up. Harry's going to break his idea that, sleeping around with Michael's kids is taboo, right? So
just work his way down as they reach age.
Whoa,
I was going to say, but by that time, she'll be like 80.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's a no from me, dog.
So to make this sound less gross, because I can't wait for the sound bites that are going to come out of this episode. Sense the sarcasm, you intelligent fucks. So in any case, that's why I can't argue the Molly thing and Harry thing, because you're basically, standing up multiple hundreds of years versus the I won't sleep with my best friend's daughter, which it's like there are a lot of people that won't hold that line, let alone for 200 years. So, I don't think Harry's ever going to cross it, which is why I don't think that him and Molly is ever going to happen, even if Harry never gets free of the mantle and Molly never gets free of the mantle and so forth. Like, I don't think that's ever going to happen, even if the knight and the lady is the loophole and whatever. Because, I mean, the loophole argument, I don't
agree with the loophole argument at all, because
Fix
what
and
Maeve
Lily
said
are
in
sleeping together.
Cold Case.
So,
well, attempted to, maybe.
Well,
Fix
unless
and
the,
Lily are literally,
if
they share a bed.
That doesn't mean they're having sex.
If the night mantle makes you
True.
impotent, that could always be written in. That's the
Which,
point.
magical birth control aside, yeah, like
Right.
the she are kind of funny about fertility in general anyway, because like pretty much like when you have sex with a she, you have a baby, but that's mostly because that's what they want. Like even in real life, it's not 100%. Just assume it's going to happen if you sleep with somebody without using protection or whatever. But it's
Besides,
not
the real
100%.
loophole is that she can sleep with other girls, and that's far more titillating for a noir series.
This is
I like that
getting
answer
weirder.
a lot better.
So anyway, Harry kills
Harry kills
This-
no one.
this
As per
episode-
usual, the kills get stolen from him. Harry kills no one
And yet he gets blamed for it.
every time.
I mean, he killed Aurora that one time.
No.
That was
Really.
genuinely his.
No, that
Wasn't
was
it?
mostly the work of the little people cutting her with iron, and then she just kind of bled out.
But
and
they
Lloyd
were his.
Slate.
There
They
was
were
no
his
kill
vassals.
shot. It doesn't matter. There was no kill shot.
Then Harry stole Lloyd Slate from Matt
Right.
Hoagie's map, gave it to him.
I was gonna say that's not really a steal if she's like putting him on the table and saying, "Have at it."
And he killed Lucio, just saying. That bastard. So,
And that didn't even work because she came back later.
right.
Both of them
All
did.
right.
The bad guy and the good guy.
Is there anything else before,
No, let's go. Let's finish. We need to finish.
Okay.
He's so done with this book.
Yeah.
So Maeve is yelling at Harry, and she says, "Tear him to pieces," and then mud monsters come out of the ground and start attacking the Fae.
Which is really funny because with the Intellectus, you think he would have known that the island had mud monsters.
But he has to actually ask the question.
I was
So
gonna say,
it's
he
always-
probably knows now that he's been there for a year and did the security defense thing.
Yeah,
Right.
but like
Excuse me.
he was thinking of, how can I see Fix with all this fog? Oh yeah, I don't need to see him. Like he has to actually ask the question every time. So he has to be smart enough to ask the question.
Right.
No, that's not usually the case
Right.
until the
And
climax.
he even talks about that in a Turncoat. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So anyway, so the mud monsters come out and then they kill everybody because that's totally a thing that happens.
Yeah, well, Mouse is going at it and having fun, and they
Right.
take the non-combatant people, I guess, into the cottage
Right.
because where else are they going to go?
Right.
And only some of the people got in, I think. Molly was out playing Invisible Girl,
Right.
and Murphy got pulled out by the gun by the Rawhead. And that's when Harry decides he has to run out and do something.
Gotcha.
After Sarissa goes a little crazy and saying we should run and get out and go to the Never Never, because that would be the great idea to do on Demonreach.
Right. Totally fine.
Even if she doesn't know what Demonreach is, she should be feeling exactly what Demonreach does to everyone else. So that is a bad idea.
I
Well, she
mean,
was going crazy.
yeah, and there's no evidence that she's more clued in other than to like the fairy side of things. I guess
Right.
maybe if she lives on in the Never Never side, she could know, but she's
And-
not like a wizard, right?
Well,
Like,
no, I mean, she could probably sense it in general. Kind of like how Ancient Mai was able to. She didn't necessarily know what was down there, but she was.
But that
able to
affects
say that
even normal
feng shui was
mortals
bad
like
here.
Murphy and,
Right.
and everyone else. They're getting that feeling of go the fuck away or this is a bad place.
But I could argue it. The point is like you could be squicked out by other reasons than opening a hole to the Never Never here is going to wind you up literally in hell or a version of it that you don't want to be in. So
Well,
anyway,
I mean, to be fair, that's most of the Never Never anyway. You shouldn't want to be in. She doesn't even want to be in winter, and that's her mom.
Yeah.
spoilers.
Right. So they go out of the cottage because Maeve is going to hurt everyone out there, like Mouse and Thomas and Karen.
Oh no.
Look, the dog. Come on, you can't hate the dog.
Molly
I don't hate
is
the dog. I have
still
no
invisible.
Right.
So Maeve is gloating and like she kicks Karen and stuff. And this is when she shoots Mac in the belly and she just says, "Oh, the bartender, isn't this ironic?" and shoots him.
problem.
Ironic how?
Because he's watching.
Because
We'll find out in about 11
he
books.
shot her in the belly one time. And
She says, "Ah, the bartender, irony there. Getting a good view, are you?
See? Watching.
Uh-huh. Please allow me to make sure you don't get bored. This is a participation sport," and shoots him. And then he does nothing for several pages.
He grunts and falls
Bleeding.
down.
yeah, he mostly probably is in a whole lot of pain and
Maybe.
thinking about
We don't know how much pain he's actually in.
how awesome
Enough.
sepsis is this time of year. Like,
No. Either way,
And then
all hope is lost.
Maeve sees Sarissa and they start having their family feud and going off of like, why do you have to steal everything from me? Like, why would I want to steal anything from you? Back and forth,
you
back
stole
and forth.
all my boyfriends.
Well, it's
He
funny.
accidentally let them
He
breathe.
says that line is like
Yeah.
one that you accidentally left alive.
Yeah, which
Right.
just sounds really,
But also,
Well, now that you know.
yeah, grim.
also spoilers because the mantle. Yeah, exactly. So
So Maeve and Sarissa are what, 150 years old, we think, right?
Perhaps a little older.
we know that
He
Maeve
has
has been
150
shirking.
years of backlog.
Maeve has been shirking her duties for like 200 years, right? So
150,
They were
200,
150.
something. So they're in that range. And I think there was a worded Jim somewhere that their father was like an Austrian composer or something, which
Right,
set
yeah,
people
right.
to researching a whole bunch.
Yes.
so
It's
what is
either
it,
Mozart or Schubert.
17 or 1800.
I lean towards Schubert because of his late work and revolving around thing. I think one of his last great works was called Winter Ice or something.
That's fun.
So that's, I mean, either way, it's probably one of those two.
All right. So one of the things that people kept thinking about Molly is when she became a Winter Lady, is it had something to do with her being a virgin, right? Because of the way that the mantle protects itself. But do we really think that Sarissa in her 150, 200 years old is a virgin as well? Maybe the thing is just that you can't be a mother.
Well,
If
that's what it said.
even
It
that.
prevents you from becoming a mother. It's not even taking a chance.
But where that's the other thing too, though. Like, is Molly? Like, I know
We only
she-
think it.
right. I know she's mostly up through like
Well, through
Turncoat
proven guilty,
Baby or
she's
something
definitely
like
a
that.
virgin.
right. But
After
I don't
that, we have no idea.
yeah, so
I would not be surprised that she isn't. I don't think you have to be, virginal, untouched, and pure. I think you just have to not be able to become a mother, so you don't get to
Right.
have sex with anyone who can make that happen.
So
for
I
you.
think with the way the cold case went, people are assuming that she's still a virgin. And it can't be a requirement if it worked for Sarissa, and that's just so unlikely.
right. I mean, to be fair, I think the literal definition of maiden is a girl or young woman, especially an unmarried one. So that doesn't, while that's in the old time, he does seem to imply an overlap there. It
Mhm.
doesn't.
Well, yeah, it
guarantee
often
one.
gets, in the
So-
same way that names and definitions always end up overlapping and becoming. But
Right. Yeah, your parents want you to think that she was a maiden up until they got married, but that's not necessarily how that works. So
Yeah, you had a perfectly healthy pregnancy of only 6 months.
right. And I'm not even going to get into that. I've already pissed off one group of people. I'm not even going to get into
what's another?
immaculate conception. Excuse me. So
Yes. And Maeve is mad at Sarissa for wearing that scandalous dress at the birthday party when Maeve was wearing rhinestones. They are diamonds.
right.
Love the batshit crazy.
It's an important detail. She's not cheap.
Diamonds are boring.
They are. But, she's a crazy person.
Yeah. So then this is when Harry clues in. It's like, oh, you're not just people of Winter, you're sisters. You're identical twins. Not identical twins.
Had identically the same.
Exactly identical twins.
Right.
And we get more from
himself and Thomas bickering. I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
is he having one of those Ariana moments where it's like, oh, you're fighting like family, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway,
There was another thought. Oh, when Harry asked, like, okay, what happened? How did you become like this state of craziness? And Maeve immediately says, well, she chose to be she. Okay. And Sarissa just didn't choose at all. So changelings can choose to be human and then they're just human, or are they stuck being a changeling or something?
well, no, you could choose either way, or you can.
Sarissa's
There's
still-
difference. You either choose or you don't choose at all. Sarissa's in the middle, but she could have chosen to either stay wholly human or be fully she.
But she's
Okay.
still not wholly human. She's a changeling because she's
Right.
also hundreds of years old.
But
Right.
why would
She's
you
in the
choose?
middle.
Why would you choose human? Because you would,
Well,
would die.
If
I think
could be
Lily
a
probably
human
should
who's
have done it
300
at some
years old.
point.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing with Lily. Lily's a fun. Not to get too deep in the woods again, because we are going to finish this damn book. But Lily was technically the Summer Knight first, and you have to be mortal to do that. So there is a short period of time where she could have been forced to choose and been wholly mortal, and then she got the Queen Mantle, so that also doubly hit her hard as time was going on, and she was eroding away.
Well, I mean,
Well,
at
I
the
think
end
the
of
point
Summer Night,
was. I thought the point was that she was frozen in stone, and she was just shocked, and there was no moment of choice. I think that you could read that as being deliberate on Aurora's part to get her in stone immediately, so there's no time to make a choice. Because if she did make the choice, then that would be bad news bears.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Once the mantle was in her, that's it. The choice is made.
Right.
Whether
Because
she
it's the
actively
same
chose it
thing.
or not, she's got to be mortal to have it.
It's the same
Now you
thing
could
with
argue she was
Sarissa.
stuck in the middle because she was mortal enough, kind of like how Thomas is. Sure, but I'm not saying it's one way or the other. I'm just saying that was an area of thought that maybe she had it a little extra hard because she ended up going down the mortal route.
Well, I'm thinking
At the
Ronald
end of
Rule
Summer
died.
Night. At the end of Summer Night, Harry asked her if she had made a choice, and she said, no, I'm still me. She
Yeah,
was
but we
still
know
a
she doesn't
changeling
know
even
about
with the
anything.
lady.
She doesn't know about jack all. So I take whatever she says with a fat grain of salt.
Right.
Do we know the
She's
time
just-
frame on? Do you know the time frame on when Ronald Rule died and when Lily was given the mantle and when Lily was turned into stone by Aurora?
Like,
Was it
five
possible that
minutes.
she was-
pretty immediate because otherwise they
Yeah.
would have known where the mantle was.
Yeah.
Is it possible she was turned into stone before, or
Nope.
did no?
Because the
no, it's
stone
not,
was
okay.
immutable, that's why it needed the unraveling.
Right. That
Oh,
that
okay.
would be my
Rule
argument.
dies,
as well.
and the mantle goes to Aurora because she was the nearest.
Okay, then it seems like in the same act that she gets turned to stone.
Right. So even if it's not right
she
that
gets the
second,
mantle.
she does have Lily then because her gang is hiring Harry within a couple of chapters of him going to Rule's apartment, right?
Mhm.
So and we see her working on the sculpture when he goes to visit Aurora of Lily. Like that's actually Lily that she's playing around with in the clay or whatever. So it had to have been pretty immediately after because otherwise Titania would have seen the mantle sitting in Aurora.
Well,
Well,
and,
then-
and
yeah.
the queens, I think the queens know what's going on anyway, but that's not the more important part, right? Like that, it seems to be a big part of that. Like, and the same thing with Harry talking to the mothers, even in like Cold Days, like they all fucking know exactly what's going on.
Well,
But-
the mothers do.
But
Mab and Titania didn't know. There would
No,
be no
Mab-
reason for
because
them to
Mab-
be fighting then if they knew.
Mab knew she had to.
No, she
No.
just knew she didn't do it.
So she knew she didn't do
That's
it.
true.
Probably a pretty decent chance that Maeve didn't do it. So the imbalance is still there, and needs to be rectified, but they need to actually fix the balance of get the knight mantle back or
It's like when
duke it out.
Harry tells her what happened, she gets that look like Mother Summer does where she understands everything instantly. But she didn't know before that. She just knew, hey, I'm not to blame. What the hell are you mad at me for?
Well, but no, because I'm following you, right? But where I'm interjecting a little bit more is the fact that like Mab knew that she didn't do it. She also knew she wasn't ever going to be able to convince Titania of that fact, and so she had to marshal her forces because that's the balance. Mab wasn't doing it because like, well, what are you mad at me for or whatever. She knew all the reasons why Titania was doing what she was doing. But I mean, I guess you could argue that Titania didn't know, sure, but Mab pretty much did, or at least effectively did, because it wasn't her, so it had to be,
Well, it didn't have to be. It didn't have to be Aurora. That's the point. Like, even if she knows she doesn't take it, right? Titania's never going to believe that one way or the other. She's never going to believe, even if Mab knew that Aurora took it, she would never believe Mab over Aurora anyway.
Right.
So, and they say later on that they're beyond words now. They're going to fight.
Right.
So it doesn't, it's really not, I don't think it was that Mab knew for sure Aurora had it.
Even if they knew Aurora did it, and basically if you take everything out except for the unraveling, or whatever, what am I trying to say?
I don't know.
If they know Aurora did it, and they know that the mantle is in stone and stuck, and they were not able to get the unraveling at all, they still have to fight it out to equal out the balance. Knowing it isn't enough, getting it back is what the point of it was.
Right. The power. Getting the power back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'm sure they would have accepted also crippling Summer's power, Winter's power in some way, getting rid of the knife.
Sure.
But they would have to take away the knight's mantle to make it balance again. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's probably why they were also focused on holding the table. Mab can't, that's what they said. Mab can't put the power into the summer night mantle into Winter if Summer still has the table. Mm-hmm. So they were still going by the whole, they assumed Mab did it, obviously, and Mab just knew she didn't do it. Yes, she was going to defend one way or the other, but I don't think she directly knew for sure Aurora was going to do it. Because, she basically says as much. What they needed to know
was who was infected. Mab and Titania must have known someone was infected to have done something like that, because it had to have been one of the queens, and that's bad. So,
well, not necessarily. I mean, if they knew it was one of the queens, then by that logic, Titania should have known it was Aurora, because she knew it wasn't her. She knew it wasn't Mother Summer, because they can't do that sort of thing.
Maybe she did, though, right? Because, like, in her conversation with Harry in hindsight, she knew that Aurora needed to be destroyed, but she's also a mother. And the difference between Mab and Titania in that case is that Titania would never have sacrificed her own daughter, which we see in Cold Days is not the case with Mab. Is that Mab doesn't want to do it directly. That's what she's got Harry for. But Mab will make that sacrifice because that's what it means to be Mab. Whereas Titania would apparently sacrifice reality for her daughter because that's what it means to be Titania and the Summer Lady, or Summer Mother,
Queen,
Queen. Thank you. So,
yeah, but I don't know. Hold on.
I don't know that follows, because that would be a system that's kind of designed to fail. If Titania is supposed to protect reality, but because she's the Summer Queen,
she's
supposed to protect reality from Winter.
Exactly.
Does Titania even know that the gates exist?
Oh yeah, she does.
Sure, she does.
Titania knows.
Okay.
Aurora.
There's summer medics there.
Well, okay, but there's still a lot of like how many people in Winter know that the gates exist. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No. So it can't be that because she's the Summer Queen, she would sacrifice reality for her daughter. It's because
then why
she's the Summer
still
Queen.
Pissed off at Harry? Because Harry made the only play that was possible. So why would she still be mad at Harry if she wouldn't be willing to do that, right? Because that's the crux of the conversation and why she wants to go Dark Phoenix on Harry in the garden in Cold Days. She understands that what he did was necessary, but she's also a mother, and then she wants to turn him inside out.
There's some element of this calculus we're missing, because I think we've constantly been saying that because you have the mantle, it changes who you are. But it doesn't fundamentally do that. There are some things at the end of the book that never change. This is part of her being mortalist, part of being who she was before she was a Summer Queen. Because she's Titania, not because she's the Summer Queen. She would be willing to sacrifice reality for her daughter, as you say.
Maybe.
It's something left over from being Titania. Because otherwise it wouldn't make sense why she would even do this at all.
Because that's what Summer is. Summer is happy-go-lucky, you know, Disney princess, you know, love and good feelings side of things. Even though Harry says, I think it's even in Summer Night, that it's like, look, they're not all the Disney characters singing Kumbaya and whatever. That's where the ogres and the centaurs and shit come in, right? But at the same time, like, for all intents and purposes, Summer is the heart. They're the good side, whereas Mab and them is the spooky side. You know?
Maybe that's like the textual thing. I can get that, but it just doesn't make logical sense in a world building perspective why that would be the case, because that would be a system doomed to fail, right? If that's essentially what the system is, then that's a really bad system that Summer would essentially fail at its job.
You're making a lot of other assumptions, like, for example, that Nemesis is going to be able to get into the gates and that somebody's going to be able to get to Summer. And there are multiple layers of defense, right? We don't have to mount the defense only from Summer's side, right? Like, yes, Titania at any point in time could literally willfully make the decision not to do anything to balance Winter, and that would doom the world and possibly reality. That's literally the point of Summer, is that she is a counterbalance to Winter. So literally at any point, whether there's outsiders or Nemesis or anything like that, they could go off the rails, like what almost happened in Summer Night, and they could end the world by breaking the balance. That's a choice that theoretically they could make. Whether or not the mantles would literally allow them to, like, it doesn't matter. The outsiders are just there to push them, right? That's how precarious of a balance reality is as far as the She are concerned, right? And then you find out in Cold Days that balance is so precarious that if Mab took one of her little fingers off of the gates and used it to crush the Summer court, nobody could stop her. But she would have to sacrifice reality in the process.
So maybe the essential thing we're missing, though, is that it's not from Summer's perspective at all, because it's a deterrent. Look at it from Winter's perspective. To protect reality, you need Winter. Winter is what protects reality, essentially, right, from the outsiders. And Winter is the kind of thing that would not just destroy the outsiders, but destroy reality, unless there was some deterrent that Winter were scared of. And Winter is scared of Winter, or respects Winter, or Winter respects Summer, and right, thus, yeah. So it's because Winter is the kind of thing that it is, that Summer is the way it is. It's not essential to Summer that Summer's protecting reality, really. It kind of has a weird idea of what it is.
It's all counterbalance. It's all equally necessary. That's the point of being in a perfect balance, right? So yes, I get what you're saying, that Winter is the way that it is because it has to be to defend the gates. And so Summer is what it is as a foil to Winter. I can buy that. But at the same time, like, Summer is just as critical at defending reality then at that point as anything else. It's not defending reality versus the outsiders. It's defending reality against Winter. It's the check to Winter's right, power. And really, in a weird way, it's a check to Winter's overflow of power, right? Because again, 90+% of their power base is at the wall protecting reality.
Well, it's really a check right, against, because the way Summer says it is, it's to protect you, all of you, from Mab, right, because
which is still laughable, though.
Like, Mab's calculus being the same kind of thing as Nicodemus's. All these pesky mortals that can summon outsiders in. Wouldn't it be nice if maybe there were a few less of them?
Right, except that the She especially are dependent on mortals, which is why the Brothers Grimm
said a few less.
You know, yeah.
I mean, there's a worded Jim out there about how Mab's willing to sacrifice anything she can and needs to in order to do her job. So
right. I mean, it'd be neat to have those two have coffee at some point and discuss, like, really, Mab, I would think you would see my point of view. Why don't we just wipe out humanity together? And then her come up with some classy reason why she's not that kind of lawful evil. But, you know, anyway.
Right. You have to save humanity or end humanity's suffering. The only way to end humanity's suffering is to end humanity. And Mab's like a giant computer villain, like a brainiac. And that's not, yeah, that doesn't fit.
Right.
Anyway, we had our tangent. We're ending this book. Let's
go. So Maeve kills.
Okay.
Well, wait. There is one important thing.
Oh,
there's
for fuck's sake, man!
No. This is an important line. You keep talking about choice. Mab shows up.
Not yet.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Right.
Let me direct.
Jeez.
Okay.
That's why I was like, come on.
Maeve and Sarissa talking about mommy issues. And Sarissa basically asking, you know you're sick, please let us help you. And Maeve is crying and throwing more fits. And she's done everything she can to keep Mab away so that Maeve can win, but she's also hilariously upset that Mab isn't there to stop her because that would show Mab's love. But she also gets righteous angry when Mab does show up. Love that kind of craziness. And Harry is thinking for a lot longer than it should take for him to realize that, oh yeah, Mab could be here to fix things. And then he summons her immediately.
This giant hilltop is a giant circle.
Yeah. So when Maeve is screaming, like, where is she, Sarissa? Where's mommy that could fix all of this or whatever? And Harry's going like, this is bad. This is really bad. Oh, yeah, I could summon her.
Yeah. Mab, I summoned thee.
Oh, God. That's just way too much thinking before that.
I was thinking the shooting happened before that, but I realized that it was part of their, her throwing a fit as you were describing it. So
yeah. All right. And Mab shows up.
Okay. And now she talks to Demonreach. Mab talks to Demonreach and says, "You could have handled this differently, but you chose differently." Mab talks to Demonreach, and Demonreach chose. It is not because Demonreach is an extension of Harry's will, or this is what Harry would have wanted, but Demonreach chose, and that. If Demonreach, how does Demonreach choose? Is there some kind of choosing that's not free will?
It's a fifth dimensional construct created by the Merlin to protect reality against insiders. I'm sure it's got a measure of AI. We've only seen probably 10% of its power because Harry literally can't talk to the damn thing without getting a headache, and it's not just Bonnie. So anyway.
Hold on. Mab shows up. She makes all of the fairies stop attacking Demonreach. She says to Harry, I have heeded your summons, yet I would not enter this domain unless specifically bidden. Have I your permission to do so? Harry says yes, she does. And then she turned...
Right? Like, wasn't she like floating a foot off the ground or something?
Off the ground.
Yes, she descended to the ground. And then she turns to Demonreach after she has gotten permission from the warden and says, thank you for your restraint and not obliterating them.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is the other thing.
And your assistance in this matter, you could have reacted differently, but chose not to. I am aware of the decision. It will not be forgotten.
Yes.
Right.
So she got permission from Harry and then chose to speak to Demonreach, and now Alfred. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ.
Let's
Alfred
be fair. Harry's kind of an idiot.
Power.
Alfred's the adult on site right now. So
yeah. Okay. And she turns to Harry and says, finally, you summoned me. And he says,
Right.
There's been a lot on my mind. That will not likely to change. Improve your mind. And then he actually gets smart and shut up. And then
for a moment.
Maeve and Mab go back and forth at each other unhappily.
Well, from one of their perspectives.
Well, they're both unhappy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Lily gets popped in the dome.
Yeah. No one controls
With a
Maeve.
bing bong. Just
yeah.
And then Sarissa becomes a lady of summer. Yay.
Yeah. Maeve shoots Lily. The end. Everybody
Thanks.
lives happily ever after.
Pretty much.
Except for
wait.
Fix. Poor Fix. He can't fix her. Bad
Well,
ball.
and I mean, because the important part is Murphy pulls a gun from somewhere, right, and shoots Maeve, right? So,
Sort of. Eventually.
Yeah, because Mab blets her.
Yeah.
right. Because
So-
wasn't she like frozen by will or some nonsense?
She has ice bindings on her
okay.
hands and ankles, sort of hogtied. When Maeve is thinking that she's won because Sarissa has now been, her mantle has been passed into the nearest vessel, which was Sarissa, the only one that Maeve was aware of,
Right.
thinking that
And
she's
that
won.
she personally beat her because she took her daughter away.
Yes.
Right. Her other daughter. And then Mab looks into the sky like Yoda and says, no, there is another.
Mm-hmm.
And then Murphy shoots Maeve. So I'm just fast forwarding because we've got 2 minutes to wrap this up. So
We can go 5 minutes over. The onions have been taken care of.
25 minutes. So
Okay.
Yeah. And
then Molly
so-
becomes Winter Lady.
Right. And then Harry's like, hey, where's Molly? And then you hear her gasp invisibly from somewhere else and fall over. You'd be like, motherfucker, are you kidding me right now?
Well,
I
to be
can't
fair,
catch
he gets the visual of the snake like shooting into her.
There's a little discussion of the idea of choice and free will, which is very interesting. and feel like we should discuss it, even though that would probably make a tangent.
Let's do it.
Well, so save it for the next episode.
We're
We'll
not doing a
finish the
part
book
7.
proper, and then we'll do tangents because we can go back to this whole whether or not
Okay.
who knew
So
who stole the
You better
summer
be
night
writing
mantle
this
and
down
stuff.
for later then.
So next episode, we're apparently doing all of the tangents that we took out of this one.
Yay.
Okay, choice
I
and
hope you're
power,
making notes.
berries. Yeah, she needed to fucking do a bunch of cosmology episodes, I think.
A bunch.
Yeah, because they keep distracting us. Okay. Harry finally figures out what it means to be a vessel for something. And Maeve is not one as much as she thinks she has, and she's lying to herself. And Maeve says 2 + 2 is 5 and is about to kill Harry. Mab moves her little finger. Karen's hands flew out from behind her back in a shower of broken chips of black ice. She tore her little holdout gun from a concealed ankle holster. 2 shots ring out. One of them narrowly misses Harry, and one of them goes through Maeve's skull.
Thank God Karen's a marksman.
Right?
And Harry's going to be blamed for Maeve's death, even though Karen is the one who did it and Mab led her.
Because, according to winter law, Murphy is Harry's vassal. Just saying.
She might be really upset to hear that.
That's why I wanted to put that out there for all the people that would irritate. Like, I don't care, but yeah, like in
Also,
this moment.
To be fair, there's only who's gonna blame him? Mab. She's the one who sent him to do this in the first place. She's not Titania. She's not gonna have the same
Right.
harboring a grudge thing.
Well, in the
Once
same
and
way
for
that
all.
Harry gets blamed for killing Aurora, even though it was.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. There's
Right.
only
But Mab
that only
would be
matters
holding
insofar as
everything.
Titania on any given moment would like to tear his throat out.
Right.
Mab doesn't. I mean, she would like to because that's what she likes to do in general.
Right.
But
Because for her, it's
she doesn't.
Tuesday.
She's not like, I'm going to kill you because you killed my daughter when she's contracting him to do the job.
Right.
All right. So the let's see, I think it was a snake-like thing that came out of Maeve, goes into Molly, and Molly kind of
Summer gets a
collapses, just like Sarissa.
Winter gets a serpent.
And Summer gets a phoenix or
Hawk
Hawk.
something. And then now that all the fighting is over, they take everyone into the cottage again. All of the other fairy coteries are trying to not make much noise and get attention, and they get told to go down as far as the hill that they can and don't do anything or else they'll get smushed.
Right.
Harry gets the gun from Karen and demands Mab go into the woods and talk to him. And Harry threatens to kill Mab because that's a great idea.
Right. All around fucking classic Harry and classic Mab though, because she's like, so fucking do it.
See what happens.
But understand
Right.
what's going to happen.
Right. And then he's like, damn it. And then she's like, do it again and I will turn you inside out for fun. Like, so.
But then he makes a more credible threat. And she gives him at least the head nod of him being worth the trouble.
Right. You know,
Yeah.
Finally, a night that's worth the trouble. You know?
Although that threat gets less credible in the next book when she steps right onto the dock and it's like, all right, let's go.
It's probably the difference between like right now there's an angry dog ready to fight versus like, you know, she just comes into the area like in the future, because it's like Alfred's like, I'm gonna fucking explode at any fucking moment. Somebody push me. And Mab's like, yeah, that would be generally a bad idea. Whereas like when she shows up later, it's like, okay, it's gonna take a little bit of time before he comes after me. So
And when she arrives in Skin Game, she's also saying, if you don't do this, your head's going to explode in 3 days.
right.
Oh, sure. And plus, Harry's got better understanding now of what Mab's importance is, so he'd never do it anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
because he doesn't want Molly to have the queen mantle as well.
Well, yeah, no,
That's
that's
true.
now. But I mean,
Well,
in
it
Skin-
still kind of shows up, or like,
right. But he
not
has
wanting her to
he
get
has to
more.
point blank be told that again, because again, he's not thinking.
not smart.
No brain.
Right.
Then
So they talk-
he and Kringle have a nice talk after.
They talk about Molly, and Mab says, it was not my intention for her to replace Maeve. Frankly, I would have considered her a better candidate for summer, but I disagree. I think Molly would be best for winter for the same reasons that Harry is. And she also says that Molly was made ready as a contingency, but like she was positioned for a different sense of action, but we don't get to know what that is yet, apparently.
Right.
They're just a
It could
one-off
very well
line.
have been Summer. I mean, there's nobody in their right mind is thinking Lily's capable of this job.
We have to have something for Maggie to do in the big apocalyptic trilogy.
There you go. You fuck! I can't
Is
believe
she
you
even
put
going to
that
make
in my
it
head.
18 before the BAT starts? I don't think so.
I mean,
But
does the
Maggie's gonna
mantle
become
care?
a master wizard.
No. Did we skip over the whole thing with Mac? Because that's a whole
No, not
bunch
yet.
more eye waggling. So.
There's something in that conversation with Mab. She identifies it not just as what we always call it the athame. It's Morgana's athame. Is there anything that we know about this that we can talk about?
Just that
Well,
she
it's Word of
was-
Jim stuff.
Yeah.
I
She
I mean,
was
there's
dark.
info on it, but it's not anything that's really come up in the books yet.
Right.
Because the first time it comes up, they hint at the importance of not what the athame is, but whose it is.
Mhm.
And then the Word
And
of
that's
Jim-
why it was worth trading Amarakius for.
Right.
And that was the vessel for infecting Leah, which obviously had huge ramifications.
Right.
But it's basically, it's a ritual knife, kind of like the other one, which is an older, stronger one that Harry uses to kill Slate. That's Medea's Bodkin.
Yeah, that must be much older. Mab and Harry talking about how they've affected Molly, and Mab says, well, like, you've manipulated her just as much as I have. You've been changing her into a different person, so how is this any different? And Harry's just mad and doesn't able to say much.
Yeah. He's like, no, I didn't do that. He's like, no. What you didn't do is allow yourself to think you were doing that.
Yeah. Eventually, he's trying to press her of, like, was it hard for you? And she eventually just says, I was mortal once too, and then I think goes away.
It's probably the one time we see Map, if not exactly weak, then almost human.
Yeah.
Well, he says as much. He saw vulnerability and uncertainty. Yeah, at least in his viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Before she goes away, though, the thing with Mac, that's this moment, right? Like she goes when they go
Okay.
into the
So that happens off screen. He
Yeah,
gets
it
told
does.
about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
he goes and sleeps. He wakes up and talks to Kringle. And Kringle had a very fun night, and he's now Santa Claus. And then he says something about masks and mantles trade around all the time on Halloween. And he leans down and he's like Odin's face instead of Kringle. And Harry gets clued in on something that should have been kind of obvious.
And he walks away to sing, whistling "Here Comes Santa Claus."
Right.
I thought he was singing it in yeah. Oh, humbling, "Here Comes Santa Claus" in a rumbling bass voice. Then he goes more into the cottage, I guess, again, and talks with Karen. And Karen explains that Mav had walked in, saw that he was hurt, shoved her hand in his gut, pulled out the bullet, and Mac was unconscious and healed right up within an hour.
Probably.
So he's Wolverine. Without
No,
the-
Wolverine's instantaneous.
Oh, okay.
I've yet to hear Max say Bob.
But okay.
Mac doesn't say
He
anything,
doesn't say much at all.
right?
Is
So
Mac
that's how
Canadian?
he's hiding it.
Yeah, that's how he's hiding that he's Canadian.
Right.
Eh?
And
Anyway, Harry ends up staying on the island.
yeah, after they have a thing of, let's have a relationship, but not yet because now I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, because it's not the right season for it yet.
Yeah, that's a springtime thing. Maybe summer.
Yep.
Doesn't it this is the one that ends with him getting a branch from the oldest tree, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
starting his
He stays on the
His new
island. He's
staff.
going to make himself a new branch,
a
a
new
new
staff.
staff. And,
Yeah.
then he ends up staying there for a year,
Right.
basically.
And then
You-
the first thing that he says when they show up in the next one is "You motherfuckers." So,
No,
you
the
left
first
me
thing he
here
says
for a
is
year.
parkour.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then the book's over. Yay!
Woo!
Oh,
Hooray.
thank God.
And then we get to the best book in the series so far.
Changes?
Skin Games?
Oh,
Ghost
Turncoat.
Story?
Turncoat. Easily
Skin
turned.
Games.
Jeez.
Full Moon.
What?
Okay,
Get the
kick him
fuck
out.
all the way out, man. Like,
Are
do
you-
not
are you-
even
we're-
let the door hit your ass.
No, you're not allowed to joke about some things.
No, mine was clearly a joke. You were sincere.
Yeah.
Whoa, that was the Dresden Files podcast, all right. Sure was a thing. We've just finished Cold Days after months.
Six
Six
episodes. Yeah,
3
that is
months.
easily 3 months.
Yeah.
We're not doing that again for
At
Skin
least.
Game, please, for the love of
We,
God.
For a slow read of Skin Game, 1 episode per
We'll see.
chapter. So yeah,
46, part 46. Skid Game.
and by then, we'll have announcement about when Beasthawks is coming out
Yeah, we'll just have the
Hopefully.
announcement of there's more news coming.
by
Yay.
part 46. So we have a bunch of things with the Dresden Files podcast. Please support the Dresden Files podcast to help support the Dresden Files podcast. We have links down in the description below. You can do a number of things. It's a drive-through RPG. You can click through that link there. You can donate on our Patreon. And also, just keep watching, keep liking the video, subscribing, and all this. We've got a whole bunch of stuff in the Broken Jars Network, too, not just Dresden Files. But if you like professional simulations, watch Sim Talk with Jacob, but not this Jacob. It's about simulations, but not SimCity, just like professional things. Also, there's also High Fantasy.
Which is on hiatus.
How
How long is it got to be on hiatus before we stop bringing it up? Like,
It's just so fun to
Well,
say.
the old episodes are still there. I don't know.
Check them out. And we also have DMs Anonymous, support group for all people who like Dungeons and Dragons and DMing and that sort of thing. Andreas, what do you guys talk about this last or next episode? Whatever's relevant.
Next episode is to be determined, and last episode was how to include players in your plot, and especially because they seem to try to avoid it somehow.
Very good, very good.
So true.
And there's also Great Scott, which is about The Office, the American Office, the better one. And it's are they in season 7 or season 8 already?
I'm not sure.
No,
I think
They're in
just
some
need to switch
seasons.
to Simpsons.
they may be switching to Simpsons. So
I don't
keep
know. That's my suggestion, but they've kind of shot it down. But still, it would just be like the podcast that never ends.
the podcast never ends. And that was the Broken Jars Network. Come check us out and stuff. Thank you for watching. This has been a presentation of the Broken Jars Network. Hello, hey, hello, little Justin Jr.